Hey guys, this is Tara from Tara Buster, and you're watching the Political Voices Network, and thank you for doing it because we got a lot of work to do. So, like and subscribe and all that stuff, and please support the independent liberal media. Okay, I don't know how you've been feeling. It's been only a few couple of days into this second Trump maladministration, and it's already an unprecedented horror show. And ever since election day, I don't know about you, but I've been feeling a bit enraged, to tell you the truth. And so, I've had a lot of therapy, so I've been processing my feelings. And I've been thinking in 2016, when Hillary lost, despite receiving the most votes, I was sad. I got sad because I thought better of my country. I thought that we were less racist than we actually were. I thought that we had come further. For example, when the American people saw a documented con man come down an escalator declaring Mexicans to be rapists and criminals, that they would recoil from that as if from a hot flame, given that they recognize the oldest trick in the authoritarian playbook, given that we are a multiracial, liberal democracy, nation of immigrants, that the American people would have rejected that. Then we lived through the first Trump term. Obama handed him a great economy, and of course, what Republicans always do, they use every opportunity to make income disparity and upward immobility worse. So they passed the GOP tax scam, which did just that. Because ultimately, their aim is to destroy pesky democracy once and for all, rolling back the 20th century, the progressive era, the New Deal, all that. They're going right past the American Revolution, straight to the Dark Ages. That's the truth. So, but the second Trump term, after making income disparity, upward immobility worse, and after the daily indignities that we had to endure as Americans, watching this baboon on the world stage, the greed and bottomless ignorance is astonishing. But then we were hit with this worldwide pandemic, which, of course, Trump, being what he is, and Republicans who they are, took every opportunity to divide the country because that's all they know how to do. I mean, it could have been an opportunity to bring people together. We're in this together. We're going to get through it together. Then we got the daily TikTok videos about people having meltdowns on planes and in different stores because they couldn't put a piece of cloth on their face, right? And, if you take out the blue states, there's hardly any death. And telling the states to compete for ventilators and whatnot while he's sending COVID testing equipment to his pal Putin. Don't tell anybody, Pootie, but our frontline workers have to wear garbage bags and wash out their N95 masks. It was just a disgrace that proved that he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He turned America into a land of mass graves, killing over 1 million Americans. I mean, the United States had the worst death rate of any other country. That in itself, you would think, would do it. A land of mass graves, thinking of your fellow Americans with now who are widows and widowers and orphans, grieving with empty seats at the table for Thanksgiving and all that the American people would care about that. Yet they didn't. And of course, the jobs rate, right? He left the last maladministration with the worst jobs record since Herbert Hoover. And that's what Biden was handed. But, the American people, I guess, love stupidity. This is what brings us to this time, when Trader Trump got elected again, even though it was a slim margin, 1.6%, the smallest margin since George W. Bush in 2000. Still, that's cold comfort. He got less votes than he did last time, and 20 million Democrats who voted for Biden last time stayed home. And why am I saying all these stats? Because as I'm processing, since Election Day, this time I've blown right past sadness and I'm straight to anger. And this clip from CNN of Officer Michael Fanone, one of the patriots who stood in the breach defending the citadel of democracy from the domestic terrorists. I think he summed up the feeling in one word, and that's betrayal.
Rest assured, I have been betrayed by my country, and I've been betrayed by those that supported Donald Trump. Whether you voted for him because he promised these pardons or for some other reason, you knew that this was coming, and here we are.
Yep. Like I always say on my show, we always have to live in the consequences of the policies that Republicans inflict on us. They're never making things nicer in the country. They're always knocking us out at the knees, aren't they? Because Trader Trump, he is what he is. Like a fish is going to swim and a bird is going to fly. And a tax cheating, draft dodging, wannabe dictator con man is going to be a disgusting excuse for a president. And they voted for that again, in spite of the fact that there's 1 million plus Americans in their cold early graves, half of which didn't have to be there. If we had stayed on par with the rest of the world, a lot of people wouldn't have died during that pandemic. But plus, what about the PTSD that we all feel living in this divided, divisive environment of incessant lies that are only going to get worse thanks to Trump and all of his billionaire masters who own every information sphere and misinformation sphere, I should say, because he got elected, you got to say, on misinformation. If you know a Trump voter, ask them why they voted for Trump. For example, my doctor, I made the mistake of assuming that he had voted normally, like a normal person, and voted for Harris. And he said he voted for Trump. And I asked him why. And he said because, crime in New York City. That is demonstrably false. The crime rate is lower now than it was when Trader Trump sat in the Oval Office. And what the hell is he going to do about crime in New York anyway, except make it worse or make the country into an armed camp? That's what he would want to do, right? Send the National Guard in everywhere. Turn the country's military against the people in violation of our constitutional norms. When you're watching interviews of maggots, you ask them, why did you vote for him? Oh, because of genders, and I'm voting for him because I don't want kids to have to change their genders. Shit that isn't happening. It's all based in fear and misinformation. I don't know where the betrayals are going to stop, because pardoning those January 6 traitors is not just a betrayal of law enforcement, though it is, because J.D. Vance and Pam Bondi said that they wouldn't pardon the violent ones who beat the cops, just the ones who defecated and urinated in the halls, I guess, right? Who trashed Nancy Pelosi's office, the ones who couldn't hold it in and find an appropriate restroom. But all of them are now back on the streets declaring that they're going to get firearms and they're out for revenge. I mean, we're talking about people who pled guilty to seditious conspiracy against the United States. Traitors, period. Outright traitors to this country. As my mother always said, you want to know somebody? Look at their friends. Look at who they admire. Look at who they sent to represent them in the halls of power. You sent somebody whose own chief of staff says has a fundamental disdain for American values, that is fascist to the core. Then what does that say about you? And Michael Fanone continues.
This is who we are as a nation. This is what we have become, and it has been further exacerbated by Donald Trump.
Yep.
As I've said many times before, we are self-centered, we are violent, and we are indifferent to the suffering of our neighbors.
Exactly. Isn't that disgraceful? I often say on my show that it takes a level of maturity to function in a free democratic society, a maturity that many Americans, I guess, just don't have. Because the betrayal is not just of the Capitol Police officers. It's a betrayal of the Constitution. It's a betrayal of everyone who ever fought, bled, and died for democracy. I am absolutely horrified by anyone who voted for Trump and the ones who stayed home, and they should be ashamed. Well, thank you for listening. We're in this together. Like, subscribe, check out youtube.com/c4channel/TaraBuster, become a patron, patreon.com/TaraDevlin. Please subscribe to the Political Voices Network. I'll see you soon.